It is time for me to make amends with everyone that was waiting for this video and install NC 4.0. Let's go ahead and create our machine for Windows NC 4.0 Workstation. I'm actually just gonna label this YouTube. Alright, so the minimum specs of NC4, usually they only ask you for 486, 16 megs of RAM. Let's go a little crazy here, shall we? We're gonna go with a very familiar friend. Mind you, you don't have to do that. You can always use the old faithful, aka the Asus. I always have to do this because, my God, the motherboard names. The Asus P/I-P55 TP4XE. Yeah, that particular motherboard. You can definitely do it with that. I mean, it does support Intel. It does support the regular Pentium, Pentium Overdrive MMX, and then some Win chips right here, up to 240 megahertz to be exact, and then Cyrix up to 133. Now, the motherboard that we're going to be using, you guys are very familiar with it as per our last transmission. And this actually supports a lot more chips. Supports the regular Pentium MMX, mobile Pentium MMX, Overdrive MMX, the Win chips, and AMD K6. As far as 500 megahertz. And it supports a couple Cyrix chips as well. Cyrix M2, I believe. Yeah, up to... yeah. But in the spirit of the now canceled video, we're going to be sticking with a Pentium 133. And we're going to be upping this to... wait, what's the thing I used to do actually? Oh, what a surprise. I'm looking at one of my super old documents that I use for testing. And what do you think came up as the machine that I used? The same fucking board, chat. And at the time, I didn't know it was vulnerable to CIH, or maybe I did, but still. The same board, and of course, the same card I sing praises about nearly 24/7. Alright, so we're gonna go with the GA-5AX board, 133 megahertz CPU. Actually, just 120, it doesn't really matter. You can either do 32 gigs or 64. Actually, we're just going to go with 64, to be fair. Gigabyte GA-5AX, 133 megahertz Pentium, 64 megabytes of RAM. We're going to go to the graphics card. We're going to go pick our beloved. Now, this is what I was talking about on Nightly. You don't see all the variants. You just see the chipset, and then you have to go into configure and then pick the variant yourself. So we're gonna go with the Diamond Stealth 64 VRAM. No, there you go. Configure and make sure the memory size is 4 megabytes. Over here, you're gonna want to make sure that it's a PS2 keyboard, PS2 mouse, 2 buttons, 3, which honestly, whichever, doesn't really matter. I'm just gonna do 2 buttons because I'm still very used to unbinding my mouse using the middle button. For the sound, you guys, well, it really depends. It really depends. So let's just stick with the AWE32. We're gonna need to make sure, well, we're gonna leave all of those as is, but I like to just bump the memory size to 2 megabytes just to be on the safe side. That I usually just leave as is, but if you guys don't have system MIDI, you can use any of those. Well, any of the Roland emulations will do just fine. Network, as usual, you guys know it. You guys know what I usually go for. The PCNet PCI 2. Guys, remind me of one thing. Printing is something I actually do have to get into at some point. I just haven't tested it enough. I have done it in the past. It's not something I've actively documented. AWE32 PNP works for me. I don't really bother with the plug and play, to be fair, because if I recall correctly, I think it still lets you set the it still lets you set the memory size. But I'd rather just stick with that because, well, it just works out of the box. Floppy disk controller internal. Actually, huge distinction. There are times where on IDE it's gotten a little messy with IDE. So I just like to stick to SCSI for NT4. We're going to go with the Bus Logic BT-958D. Now, it's very important that you go into configure and enable the BIOS, because if you don't, it's not gonna detect any of your hard drives and you won't be able to install anything. Or at this point I don't even think you can even boot from CD. At least just hand it over to the SCSI controller, basically. So here's the thing with NC4. During setup, it only supports 4 GB hard drives, which is a little annoying, admittedly. But I have to find the correct geometry for this. Hold on. So we're gonna create a hard drive of this particular configuration: 7944 cylinders, 16 heads, and 63 sectors. So every time you go into type, you look up custom large. No, no, we're not doing that. So there's a hard limit of 4 GB during setup. So I'm just gonna go a little smaller than that, just to be on the safe side. I'm gonna go ahead and save my hard drive image. Now there's a reason I called it disk 0 instead of disk. That's because we're gonna be using 2 hard drives in this particular build. So here we have a basically 3.9 gig hard drive, which NC 4.0 should be able to install on. We're gonna create another one. Actually, I completely forgot. Make sure that this is on SCSI. Okay. Alright, so channel 000 right here. Alright, we're gonna go ahead and create our second hard drive. Make sure that this is SCSI 001. You can't pick that because the first hard drive is already on that channel. I'm gonna go ahead and do the same configuration here. So now we have 2 hard drives of the same capacity. Now for our floppies, we're not really doing much with floppies in NC4, so I'm just gonna keep it to a 1.44 megabyte, 3.5 inch floppy drives. But for everyone's entertainment, we're gonna have a little sound to go along with it. And then here, we're gonna go ahead and put this on 002, the CD-ROM drive. And then 52 times speed. I don't think we're gonna need anything here. I have tried magneto-optical drives on NC4 before, and they do work. It's just that, well, there's not that much of a use case, at least for me. So that's something I can give a try at some point. But all right, let's go through a quick recap of the specs. Postcard is on just by default. Super Socket 7 board, GA-5AX, 133 MHz Pentium, 64 megs of RAM, Diamond Cell 64 VRAM, 4 megabytes of VRAM, PS2 keyboard and mouse with 2 buttons. We're gonna go over that. We're gonna go over the sound drivers. There's a reason I picked the AWE32. I think the drivers are actually built in. They work with both the Sound Blaster 16 and the AWE32. Sound Blaster AWE32. Default settings, memory size is 2 megabytes, system MIDI, network card is the AMD PCNet PCI 2, nothing here, internal floppy controller, no hard disk controllers, SCSI controller, bus logic BT95AD, BIOS turned on, 2 3.9 gig hard drives, one on SCSI 000 and the other on 001. One floppy drive, 3.5 inch, 1.44 megabytes with audio whenever we get to use it. SCSI at 002 for the CD-ROM drive, 52 times speed. We can just keep that as the default. Nothing here, and postcard is on, and we are ready to go. Oh, that was a lot of yap, chat. So first things first, you always want to spam delete, especially when you're dealing with an award BIOS. Standard CMOS setup as usual. We're turning all of those off. This is correct. Boot sequence AC SCSI should be fine. We're not gonna be booting from floppy because the CD-ROM itself is bootable. But I think those are the only changes you need to do. Power management, ACPI, I think that should still be a thing. You guys don't need to do anything here. The only thing you guys really need to know is if you're using SCSI, turn all of those off. Make sure that your floppy drive still works, or that you set it to the correct setting. Then just make sure the boot order is still floppy. I mean, it's just gonna bypass the C the C option and go straight to SCSI. Alright, so now that you guys are done, we're going to go ahead and grab the NT 4.0 ISO. As far as I'm concerned, this one is either RTM or bundled with Service Pack 1. We'll double check when it installs. But now we can just save the CMOS and exit. By the way, those are the floppy drive sounds. I guess the computer was just accessing it just to see if there was anything in there, which is why you barely heard it. Alright. Setup is relatively straightforward, always has been. Setup has detected that one or more of your hard disk has more than 20. Oh, please. Again, it's bordering 4 gigabytes, but I don't think that should be that much of an issue, to be fair. So just continue setup. F8. I have not had the need to change anything here. The above list matches my computer. Is that so? So, all right, let's just give it. All right, let's just give it a try. Let's just give it a try. Now, again, for your boot drive, you guys are always gonna want to go with NTFS. Now the question is, I have no idea why. This is strange, chat. Like, I don't remember this happening recently, but is there any reason as to why? Hold on, 1 sec. Hi, Future DDX here. In order to save you about 10 minutes of seemingly useless troubleshooting, I realized that the hard drive size I set at the beginning of this segment was a little too big, because I went back to an older machine that I had and picked that geometry instead, which was, instead of 7944 cylinders, I ended up picking 7752 cylinders, which resolves to about 3,815 megabytes, which is about 3.8 gigs, which is more than enough for a Windows NT 4.0 boot drive. So I ended up going back to that, and as soon as I restarted setup, that hard drive error message was gone, and I could finally use the entirety of the hard drive during setup. With that said, enjoy the rest of this segment. Alright. Setup prepares for NT to run on your computer. Alright, so bus logic, same thing. Alright, so we don't get that error anymore. We don't get the, oh, it's bigger than 1024 cylinders anymore. Press C. Alright, so now we have access to the entirety of the hard drive. Granted, we're doing with fewer megabytes, but you know what? We're still getting access to the entirety of the hard drive and not just 1 gigabyte. We're gonna format this as NTFS. WinNC, no need to change that. Exhaustive, actually this doesn't even take that long, so might as well. Alright. I will be right back. Alright, so here you actually have to temporarily remove your CD from the drive. And then we restart. I have returned. It was just a quick little water break. Now, as user M4V8V mentioned, the type of the file system is FAT. I was abducted by the killjoy, chat. So you go to the first phase of setup, go to the file system conversion, and you reboot. The illusion of choice. It's not like I wanted to go to the VGA mode or something. It's like, why even give me that option? So what's behind that VGA mode, chat? Does anyone know? Does anyone know? Alright, so now we can bring back the ISO. Please insert the compact disc labeled Windows. Yeah, there we go. Formats is FAT and converts to NTFS after install. Just copied some basic things from setup. Alright, so you're gonna realize that setting this up is fairly simple, actually. Just again, if you guys didn't know about these tiny little details, I don't know if someone who is brand new to 86 box with just all of this might just put in a 20 gigabyte hard drive in there and then realizes, silly old me, I can only use it 1 gigabyte out of this thing. And you know, I used something that was under 4 gigabytes. I used something that was like 3.9 gigs, but it turns out I had to go a little bit under that for NT4 to use the entirety of my drive. You're gonna realize that the setup procedure is very similar to 95 actually. Always go with custom. Guys, let's be real. Let's be real. Like, come on, it's that easy. Like, say. You limit it to 1 gig on a 2 gigabyte CF card. Interesting. Is it one of those like SCSI to CF card adapters? Nah, let's not even bother with that, to be honest. Just gotta enjoy our game of solitaire. So again, nothing crazy right out the gate. Alright, NT networking. You can either choose to do this during setup or after. Let's see how I feel. Alright, so this computer will participate. So IDE 2 compact flash. Oh, never mind. So this computer will participate on the network because we will be connecting this to the internet relatively soon. Wire to the network. Start search. All right. PCNet family Ethernet adapter. TCP/IP because you need that to connect to the internet. Leave all of those as is. Ready to install networking components. Yada yada yada. All right. No need to change anything here. Yes, use DHCP. No need to do anything here, really. Start the network, will ya? As usual, if there's no need to change it, you don't need to change it. Just leave it as work group. We're almost done. It's probably gonna ask us to like, or it's not gonna ask us anything. Actually, I lied. So time sync is on, and I'm in the Eastern time zone. All right. Let's see here. Let's see. Again, I have sung praises about this particular card, chat. I can push true color on 1152 by 864, which is above 1024 by 768. Wild, isn't it? Yes, I did see the test bitmap properly. So, okay. I think we should go to like one last copying phase. Yeah, there we go. Time to get abducted again. Guys, did Kayla's fan get scared in my absence again? Because I was abducted by the killjoy when I just had to refill my water bottle. And there we have it. Installation is finished. Now, granted, if it was back in 1997, I would have created a floppy for emergency repair, but I have not had the need to, so I will not. And now we should be able to boot back into NC4. And now it's giving us 30 seconds to pick between NC4 and NC4 VGA mode. But no point. And there we have it. NC4 and its glory. It's 1152 by 864 glory. Go ahead and use Ctrl-Alt-Delete to log in. Alright, so the sound drivers are not automatically installed. Now you have to look at it. You have to look at it this way. It's pretty much a more stable version of 95, at least on the surface. Well, let me go ahead and fix this real quick. Ugh. You know, I much prefer it like that. There you go. Now NC4, right out the bat, doesn't really take that much space. Right now it's only consumed 177 megabytes out of this, well, nearly 4 gigabyte hard drive. Well, we will be adding a lot more later. Okay, so let's see. I think it makes more sense. Let's get sound working first, shall we? Let's get sound working. So sound is not working. I don't remember who it was. Yeah, Required Aim is looking forward to hearing the majestic startup sound of Windows NT 4.0. But first we need the sound driver. So if I recall correctly, I think it's in multimedia, devices, audio devices, and then add, there you go, 1X Pro 16. Okay, so I have to put that thing back in there. Nah, we don't need you right now. Hit OK. Now, if y'all recall correctly, I think those should be the same exact settings. IO address, interrupt, IRQ5, DMA channel 1, DMA channel 16-bit, which just translates to high DMA, is correct. And MPU 401, basically the same thing. So we're good. Now, I know it says Sound Blaster 16, chat. I know it does. But if you want the bare minimum of sound working, this is basically your only recourse. No, it fucking isn't. No, it fucking isn't, mate. Well, I'd have to change the interrupt in, like, somewhere else. Okay. So don't restart now. I'll go ahead and change it to 7. Shut it down. Now I'm just confused because I don't remember doing that. All right, RQ7. I was gonna go through a hard reset anyway, so it's fine. All right, we are back in NC4, and now we prepare ourselves. I think this should work. I think this should work. Well, sound works. Let me crank the gain a little bit because that was a little low. About 3/4 of the way there. All right, so we have sound working. Oh, that's better. Oh, I can hear the low frequencies too. Man, that shit hits. Man, that hits. All right, let's go ahead and install our service packs. We're gonna start with this first. This is Service Pack 6, and this is Service Pack 6A. Lord knows what this has in there, man. It's like 9 million DLL and EXE files. From what I'm seeing, too, it's like it has an updated copy of Paint. I'm like, okay. Alright, accept the license agreement. Install. Does it open Internet Explorer on Autorun? No. It's never done that in like the last 10 years that I've installed NC4 in this particular Service Pack file. I don't think it's ever done that. Well, interesting. If it's backing up Internet Explorer, does that mean I'm getting another version of Internet Explorer for free? We shall see. This is one of the things I like genuinely do not pay attention to. Because if I recall correctly, I think this is like version 2 of Internet Explorer on here. So OS Loader is now version 4.01. Was it? Honestly, I had no idea. All right, let's do this correctly now. Let's do this correctly. All right, password at the ready. It lagged a little bit, but you know, it is what it is. Let's see what version we got. Okay, so even with Service Pack 6 installed, it's not really doing much. But I'll say this, at least it does support Internet IE6. There's no chance we're getting online with this thing. But let's finish what we started. Just gonna go ahead and install Service Pack 6A. And then one last reboot, and then we can figure out if the internet on this thing works. Let's go into the second round of file copying. Okay, boss. Okay. At least that part of the setup is done. SP6 originally came on a CD that included IE5 and some other stuff. Right, well, I only got the executable, but honestly, it wouldn't surprise me. I think there should be like one of those like big update CDs that people make like after the fact. Because I know 9X has a few of those. At least there's one by this guy called Chaos Hacker that he made for Windows 98 that I've been using in my 98 VMs like every now and then. Alright, so our machine is now up to date. Well, it won't say it here, but rather, let's go to run. Yep. NT 4.0, Service Pack 6, revised Service Pack 6A. There's a big NT 4 update C2. Yeah, I figured. That's gonna be something I'm gonna test off stream. But yeah, that's actually good to know. Alright, let's go here. Let's go to network. Let's make sure that everything is working. Yes, NT4 protocols. Actually, yeah, let's look at the property stuff. Alright. And then okay, so to my knowledge, I think really the only thing that we have to do is just add the DNS server here, which is 10. If anyone's watched the Windows for Workgroups 3.11 video, we know that DNS server is 10.0.2.3. And then let's see if just this works. Which I think is probably gonna ask me to restart. Is it? No. http frogfind.com. Is it going to work? It works! Alright, so depending on your setup, there's only, well, at least this is important information for all of you guys. I'm just gonna open this right here. So, in case DHCP does not work, chat, this is actually pretty important. So your IP address has to be this, 10.0.2.15. Your DNS has to be this, 10.0.2.3, and your gateway has to be 10.0.2.2. But in this particular situation, it does work. At least as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, this version of IE sucks. No, nah. This actually sucks, bro. It's not worth it. All right, let's do a good old trick. Let's go ahead and install version 4 of Internet Explorer, just so we can get the fancy looking Explorer before we upgrade this thing to IE6. Shall we? We're gonna go over here, IE4 setup. IE4 replaces previous versions of Explorer. Speedrun reinstall is a bit of an understatement. See, you guys, this is exactly why I'm not really able to just do like full-on videos anymore. The amount of testing that I have to do. I've had to install NT4 at least 10 times just to get like all the footage I wanted, all the results that I wanted. Because there are so many variables. Just so many variables when it comes to installing like old operating systems like these. Okay, so I don't know why, but this copy of 4.0, Front Page Express doesn't work, but you don't really need Front Page Express to get the fancy Explorer. All you need is just to do standard installation and then Windows Desktop Update. Make sure you hit yes. I'm currently in the US. I mean, it doesn't really matter, let's be real. You know what this reminds me of, actually? I remember once upon a time I was installing 95 on a 386. This was like when we just started live streams, and it was me, Obat, Ryuzaki in voice chat, and it was taking forever. This thing took at least like 45 minutes to install. I wonder if it's gonna take that long. BCA, I'm currently using a 133 megahertz Pentium. Oh, hello there. Thing just went from 3% to 52. Okay. I was like, all right, I guess that was relatively easy. Yeah, but this is a 133 megahertz Pentium that I'm using right now. Honestly, if you guys are installing NT4, installing Service Pack 6A, well, depending on whatever ISO you use, whether you find it from WinWorld or Beta Archive or quite literally wherever, may that be the first thing you install. I'm still not over the fact that some people are actually trying to use VMware on 86 box, at least the older versions of VMware. But this is something that I've come to call retro software masochism. I'm sure quite a few people here in the 86 box community are very well acquainted with that. Now, mind you, all of those, we're not even really gonna make any use of those. Back then, like 30 years ago, that was like fucking revolutionary, if you will. But there's no such thing. I don't know why, but NT4 is probably one of my favorite versions. It sounds, it has a pretty nice startup sound. Just wait until you get to like NT5. We're talking like early NT5, like before that thing was even called Windows 2000. Because, well, debatably that was peak startup sound. Well, depending on who you ask. So while this thing is actually installing, chat, I'd like to take a moment to shout out a content creator I discovered like during the later stages of making the NT4 video. You guys might have come across him fairly, I want to say recently, but at least in passing on the channel. Oh, hello there. Hello. I guess something happened, but you guys may have heard of Kyle Heath from the YouTube channel NT2Now. And yes, we've been mentioned. Yes, we were mentioned in like one of his videos. All right, setup is finished installing components, yada yada yada. All right. Yes, I get it. Like, I was like, all right, please close everything and restart. It's like, setup must restart your computer. Press OK to continue, or else. Like, it's like, come on, man. Oh, by the way, you guys can actually change the amount of time that it takes to boot, or at least the amount of time that you had to choose. Oh, it made the C drive into. You know, that actually used to be an issue in like some of the earlier builds of NT5, like way back when. I know it sounds crazy, doesn't it? Trying to remember to see if there wasn't any restart after this. Was you using Service Pack 1? I think that was the same thing I was using. You know, I should have checked before I installed Service Pack 6. Because I have two ISOs. I think I've had one that I've had since I was a kid, and then this one that I just got just to make sure I have an authentic copy of NT4 just in case. And he's still setting up personalized settings, just extra bloatware. Default channel setup. I guarantee you, like, none of those things work nowadays. Oh, nice. There we have it. Oh, okay. All right. Well, there we have it. At least we have the Explorer refresh, which is definitely nice. Active channels. None of those are working in current year. Oh, guys, fun fact. Y'all see MSNBC right here? I don't know how many of y'all in the chat are from the US or currently reside in the US, but it wasn't until a week ago that I found out that MSNBC changed their name to MS Now as of like last year. I don't know. I just find it funny. I'm not gonna lie. Let me just. Yeah, because this thing does not work. So I'm just gonna set the homepage to frog find. Apparently the name MS Now is a backronym for, and I quote, my source for news, opinion, and the world. So MS Now, my source, news, opinion, world. MS Now. Oh, come on. Oh, come on. All right. Yeah, that's an understatement, Floppa. This is why here at 86 Box we focus on the good old times of retro computing. Anyway, so if you guys get this particular wizard after installing IE4, click next. Make sure everything goes to local area network, because technically that's what it is. All right. Turns out it wasn't that bad. Okay. No, never mind. Local area network. No, we are not using a proxy. No, we do not need to set up an internet mail account. No. Alright, we're good. We should be good. Secure connection? What? Oh, come on. Yeah, okay, but frog find? Sir, frog find, please. Should look better. At least. Perfect. Now, for those of you wondering why I just default to frog find instead of Google, it's over. It's like, nah, boss. It's not gonna work like that. We can't let you on here with the browser that's like, what? Nearly 30 years old, buddy? Well, it doesn't even say the year, which is copyright information, I think. Okay, 1997. At least frog find still works. Alright, let's go ahead and upgrade this thing to version 6. No, Service Pack 1 I think I have. Let's see. That looks like... I could be wrong. That looks like RTM. That has the same exact build number as XP. So you can tell by the ISO name. Well, I think I set that when I created the image file. So accept the agreement. Again, nothing crazy, mind you. Yeah, install now. It has everything. Yeah. And as far as I'm concerned, this particular version of Internet Explorer is not supposed to do anything to Explorer, as far as I'm concerned. Of course, you could definitely go ahead and go to the address right here and just type in whatever web page you wanted, because that was the trick back then. I actually pulled that off on XP when I had one of my older computers. It was still somehow on IE6. It's like, yeah, you still have a web browser in there, boss. There's a trick I need to try, actually. Because, believe it or not, it was about 4 years ago. I was in my C++ programming class in university. And my professor, you know how on certain Linux distributions or certain desktop environments, you can just right-click and you'll just get like, oh, open terminal in this particular folder. Well, my professor, mind you, he was on Windows 10. It was like, all right, so this is how you do it. Just go to the address bar where you see your entire path and just type in CMD. And mind you, I've used Windows all my life. And this is when I learned that this is how you open the command prompt at a given directory. So when this is done, I want to see if that trick works, at least in NC4. Yeah, but you believe it or not, I only learned about this like 4 years ago, so imagine how dumb I felt. When all this time I was just blaming Windows. It's like, bro, this is such an easy thing to implement. In theory. Just like right click, be like, oh, just like open terminal here, but that's not a thing. You know? I remember picking to do computer science at college, which in the UK is before university, but after mainstream school, I didn't enjoy it because it was a lot of stuff I wasn't really interested in. Just go into detail about that, because like computer science, I don't know. Like there are so many things that are categorized as computer science by the general public. Like people will even call like IT computer science. Like maintaining a network computer science. It's ridiculous. And the dev settings, it's an option? Well, I personally had no idea. Look, IE6 is almost done installing. I think, yeah, there we go. It's gonna ask me to restart. Close this, close that. And this thing goes bye-bye. It's kind of interesting because, as I said earlier, like computer science, at least like in universities in the United States, it usually involves a lot of math, a lot of programming, a lot of like algorithmic stuff. And I guess looking back, because I did start out by doing computer science at my university, but then I switched to computer engineering, which was a lot more hands-on because I wanted to do hands-on stuff, like work with actual hardware, learn how it works, etc., etc. So it's a lot of stuff about logic gates, compression, web technologies like SQL and HTML, databases, data structures, and what. Yeah. It's kind of something like that over here as well. Logic gates, though. Actually, no, never mind. Because there was this course we took called Discrete Structures, which did have to deal with logic stuff and Boolean algebra and whatnot, like the building blocks of this entire thing. It was fun, but you know, it's kind of not really what I wanted to do. But anywho, like fuck all the theory stuff. Like, yeah, it's definitely important to learn, but I feel like if I stayed in that mindset of like just learning theory shit, I would have gone insane. Which is why I don't think I've really discussed this, even in Discord server, but I did get a hold of a few microcontrollers, and I'm working on a bit of a macro keyboard thing, where I can, hard code certain features to a button. Like for example, if I want to unbind the mouse, I don't want no theories. I want reality. This is true. I want the real things. I want hands-on stuff. I want to be able to see and feel the hardware for myself. The power of the sun in the palm of my hand or whatever. Or the power of an IBM. The power of an IBM PC in the palm of my hand. 86box.net. You guys didn't get a chance to really use virtual machines? What? I mean, come on. I mean, look, if I had to learn about operating systems, I'm not gonna lie, this was more of an engineering thing, to be honest, but of course we had some software stuff to do. We did have a few Linux virtual machines that we had to use. Mainly, there was the one that was on like Ubuntu, version 20.04, mind you, but this was 2 years ago when that version was still relevant. Mind you, LTS. Okay, so now we should be on IE6. I've done so much in virtual machines when I was younger. I'm fed up. Yeah, I mean, guys, Let's be real. I think we all started with VirtualBox. Or, God forbid, Virtual PC 2007. That's a thing of the past. Because, one, thing is barely even supported. You have to go through a bunch of hoops to get Virtual PC to work in modern Windows. Not even just modern Windows as a whole. Just Windows 8. Because I remember when I got my new computer, it was like back in like late 2012. That's where everything started for me. It was this shitty AMD powered computer, 4 gigs of RAM, 500 gigabyte hard drive. But, you know, basic entry level little thing. And it ran Windows 8. The thing is, I couldn't get Virtual PC to run out of the box. Mind you, this was definitely beefier than the old computer I had, mind you, which was considerably weaker. Was an Intel Celeron M520. Just talk about like a computer from 07. Had that thing for 5 years. Until I upgraded. Half a gig of RAM, 80 gig hard drive, a tiny single core shitter, Intel Celeron M, 1.6 gigahertz. Alright, so now we should be on IE6. Which, of course, if I run good old Google on there, it doesn't work! I think I know which version of, what's it called? Alright, of course, Frogfind words. I'm 25, for reference. You know, I've been in this community for like several years. Just put it that way. A custom build in the early 2000s. Wild. All right, so I'm gonna do the next best thing here. I'm gonna go ahead and find my master FireFox ISO. Where is it? I have quite a few things in there. As far as I'm personally concerned, version 2.0.0 is the newest one that's gonna run. I know that's the newest version that runs on 98, but let's give that a try regardless. If not, we can go back to version 1.5. I think that still has SSL support. Hello chat. I love the chat just refreshing out of nowhere. I love how like utterly destroyed the icon for version 52 is. Like, have fun even trying to get that to work. It's probably gonna say it's not even a valid Win32 application. All right, so again, I'm sure you guys know how this works. Yes, I am 25 years old. That was relatively easy. Let's see if we're gonna get anywhere with this. I am in true color, actually. I think that should prove it. Don't bother importing anything. To be fair, I don't remember if there was a 16-bit icon color mode, as far as I'm personally concerned. Yeah. Okay, yeah, fine. Just make it my default browser. Able to verify the identity of. Oh, yeah, I think I should have bumped this to 128 megs. Is this still 64 megabytes? It actually does connect to Mozilla, which is wild. Yes. Might have to do that a lot. Okay, I think we're using a newer version of TLS right there. Okay. It's probably gonna say something like, oh, they have no common security algorithms. But hey, at least we're getting text. And allegedly the connection is secure. There's some level of CSS involved. Man, oh man. Yeah, we get it. We get it. I really need to find out like what versions, what ESR versions are still supported. Of course, nothing happens over here. But I think we can go ahead and give this a try. Oh, it doesn't even work there either. Sorry, your browser, your browser doesn't work in there anymore, buddy. And yeah, this came out in 08. So I think it's like the newest browser that works on NT4. Like, think about it, chat.